from WCIA 3 Plus with your hosts Glenn Kinley, Courtney Lane Brewer, and Tristan Thomas. This is the SEFCU, your Illini Nation, WCIA 3-in-1 podcast.
All right, welcome in. Thanks for joining us for another episode. For the second straight week, we got a little 2-in-1 podcast for you today. Courtney was out last week, and Tristan's out this week, so you're stuck with me consistently, unfortunately.
Do you know why it's called the 3-in-1? It's not because there's 3 reporters at one time.
Because WCIA 3.
And because one of the big band songs that the band does at Illini games is called 3-in-1.
It's called 3-in-1.
Yes.
Okay.
And because we're often talking about primarily football, men's basketball, and women's basketball.
Channel 3 news reporter Amanda Brennan would probably be disappointed that I didn't know that.
She would, actually.
We're going to get her on here maybe soon to talk a little Illini traditions.
Yes,
taking.
That's what Brett told me when I first started.
Yeah, we are taking Q&A on Facebook and Twitter, X, wherever. Email us if you want, wherever you want. We probably won't get to questions today, but we're thinking maybe next week or the week after. We might make it a regular thing if we start getting some. Yeah, feel free to throw in questions that you want us to answer about anything Illini sports. Not anything in general, but anything Illini sports. Or if you can find a way to make it even somewhat related, we'll consider talking about it. Courtney, let's start with a little Illinois men's basketball news. When we're recording this, we got this news earlier today, a new staff member for Illinois, and a familiar name at least. I don't know about a familiar face, but a familiar name for sure.
Yeah, I am really excited about this. It comes out that Kevin Kruger is going to be joining the staff as assistant to the head coach. We're not exactly sure what that will entail. I'm sure we'll learn at some point. But if that name sounds familiar, it's because it does. His father, Lon Kruger, who is a Hall of Famer, was the head coach here from 96 to 2000. He went on to later coach at UNLV, which is where Kevin Kruger is joining us from. He was the coach there for 1 season. He was there for 6 seasons, but was the head coach for, I got that wrong. He was the head coach for his last 3 seasons. There we go. And he's coming to join this team, coming back to where he played high school basketball and where he spent a lot of time. So I am always a proponent of people coming home, in whatever sense that may entail. So I love this.
Yeah.
I'm so excited about this.
He was a Centennial Charger for a couple of years when his dad, Lon, was coaching at Illinois from 96 to 2000 and had some good teams. He got let go earlier, like right after the season ended, the 2024-25 season, but had like some very solid teams at UNLV. Has plenty of experience. He was on his dad's staff at Oklahoma, I believe, before that. He worked under T.J. Otzelberger. Yeah, worked under T.J. Otzelberger at UNLV as an assistant before Otzelberger left for Iowa State and has been pretty successful there. And then that's when Kevin Kruger, got promoted to head coach there. But it's a interesting hire because it's a name that we know and there's a connection to the area, so it makes it a little bit more exciting than just here's a guy and they hired him as an assistant.
I think it's especially cool for – we saw this play out in real time in our newsroom today. People who are a little older who really experienced the Lon Kruger era.
Right, when he was here.
Saw his son start to pop off.
Around,
start to shine at Centennial. I think it's really cool for people of that generation to see.
What we might need to do is go through the archives and see if we have any Kevin Kruger Centennial Charger high school basketball video. That would be – if Tristan was here, he would have just left the podcast. He would a couple hours ago. We would have had to start recording this later while he was searching for it.
We'll
check,
Tristan in the editing bay.
Yeah, he's just got the 2 clips that we aired from him in 98 or whatever. We'll find out what class he was in. Looking forward, though, to talking to him and talking to Brad about him. And it's not the first off-season staff addition for Illinois men's basketball. They added Cameron Crocker earlier this year, and Brad said that he's kind of going to be like their defensive coordinator, which is an interesting role, one that we don't hear in basketball as often as football. It's not a technical title. He's just an assistant coach, but he's going to be handling defensive side of the ball, which is, I think, an area that Illinois hasn't been bad defensively, but scheme-wise, I think from a fan perspective, people wanted it to get better.
Sure.
Fans want everything to get better.
Well, that one. Yeah, I think this is a shift that we're seeing a little bit, something that was spoken about when I first got here. People were talking a lot more about more defined roles of assistant coaches in basketball, because obviously we see it in football. You are this coach. But I think we're seeing it a lot more in basketball. Cameron Crockett, a Penn grad, so he's smart. Spent the last 3 seasons at Colgate, where they won back-to-back Patriot League champions and went to the NCAA tournament both of those years, obviously. Got quite the coaching resume. Spent some time on the Nike circuit, which always stands out to me in the world of recruiting that we live in today. So I think he brings a lot to this. Especially, he seems like he's not younger per se, but younger.
Yeah, on the younger end of his coaching career.
Somebody who's a little bit younger on the ground floor. Doesn't look like he has kids. Oh, yeah, he graduated from college in 2015, so he is younger. Okay. So he's someone with that young blood and excitement. I think is really cool.
Yeah. Illinois also had Neil Gonta last season, so we've got a number of new faces within that Ubben complex. Gonta's kind of a player personnel, GM type of role. I think was kind of hired knowing that there's a lot to figure out there as far as roster management and the new era of rev share. He had worked previously with some pro teams, including the Denver Nuggets. Looking forward to later this summer talking with some of those. I don't know when we'll get to, but with a little bit more about the staff and hopefully to some of the new faces within Illinois men's basketball. They have a lot of returners.
Today was I can't wait to talk to Kevin Kruger about
right.
his journey and what it means.
Yeah, no kidding. And Andrei Stojakovic and Milo Petrovic when he gets here and stuff. And so, but Brad would want us to mention they have a lot of returners too. Last time we talked to him, which was a month or two ago at this point, he really drilled that home. He brought up the newcomers. He's like, well, we returned some guys. So you can tell that he's proud of that because that's not super common, which is weird because in college basketball, they don't return their whole roster, but yet even returning 6 or 7 guys is a lot in college basketball anymore. Exactly. So
I am still pretty anxious about the Ty Rodgers of it all.
Yeah.
We were so excited to have that returner. We have Ty Rodgers. Ty Rodgers is hurt.
A lot of experience there with Rodgers, so we'll see whose role that changes, whether that's a Jason Jaxtis or a Stojakovic, although he was going to play a ton anyway, or Mirkovic, the freshman, or maybe it's another one of your freshmen that Brandon Lee, maybe he wasn't going to play much this year. Maybe he does play a little bit more. We're digging way too deep into the weeds now for July.
For July 9th.
But we're excited for basketball season. We're also excited for women's basketball season, and we just recently talked to Shauna Green and a few of her players, 4 of her players to be specific, 2 newcomers and 2 returnees. An interesting year for them, right?
We got 2 returners, 2 newbies, but in a sense, we're kind of Gretchen Dolan finds herself in the middle of that. Gretchen Dolan, one of the athletes we spoke to this morning, she only played 10 games.
Yeah, she didn't play much before getting injured. Yeah.
So I think we're almost kind of back at square one with Gretchen Dolan, which I think is really exciting. So I just wanted to throw that out there because I really enjoyed getting to talk to her today, coming off of her injury. But we also spoke to Barry Wallace, who obviously is going to have another incredible season. And then we got to speak to 2 new players, which is really fun.
Yeah, Barry's in an interesting spot because it feels like she is a veteran leader on this team, and she's a true sophomore.
Oh, yeah. She got
Not even a true sophomore yet. She will be in a few months, right? And so it's interesting. She really did. She got thrown into it. She handled it well.
Oh, like a champ.
And Illinois women's basketball has a lot of, I don't think question marks is the right word, but it will be interesting to see where the scoring gets split up, who they call on. Like Jasmine Brown-Hager ended up doing a lot of scoring late in the year last year, and they went to her often. Was that because that's how they want her to play and that's her style, or was that because they needed to because they had 18 people injured, right? And so we'll be interested to find that out. We talked to Maddie Weber, the Villanova transfer, who was a high scorer at Villanova, and I would expect.
Injuries, but is now here. And was very complimentary of this Illinois program. She gave us multiple solid reasons why this was where she wanted to be. When you speak to transfers sometimes and you're like, why did you want to come to Illinois? They say kind of fluffy stuff.
Yeah, sometimes.
She was like, I wanted to play faster ball. I wanted this style of play. I wanted to work under Shauna Green. And that was so cool to hear when you think about where the Illinois women's basketball program was 2-3 years ago. And just insane. And then we also spoke to Aaliyah Guyton, who's coming here off of Iowa, which is never going to lose their name recognition and is never going to lose that spot.
Yeah. So Aaliyah Guyton and Maddie Weber very different in the sense that Illinois was really tight in the race out of high school for Aaliyah, and I think almost got her, and then she went to Iowa, and then now is coming to Illinois. I don't think Illinois had recruited or really knew Maddie much that I know of or that they mentioned when we talked to him before she got in the portal. It wasn't like, okay, we recruited you pretty heavily, we love you, we've known you this whole time. Now do you want to come play for us? It was like,
Which
hey.
is exactly what happened with Aaliyah.
Right, exactly. But with Maddie, it was like, hey, we're Illinois. Nice to meet you. We really want you. And Shauna Green did not hide the fact that she said she told her staff, we need her.
Yep.
And Shauna doesn't say that about every transfer or every freshman or anything. And so it was clear that she saw her film and liked her and then talked to her and liked her.
She told us a lot about how excited she is for this opportunity and how that relationship that she built with Shauna when she was coming out of high school has carried over. And she talked a little bit about playing here last season
Right.
when she came here with Iowa because her whole family was here.
Mm-hmm.
She was experiencing playing in the arena of the flagship university of her state.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to put words in her mouth, but I think that could have played a pretty significant role into her decision to inevitably call Shauna back up.
It might have been. And the fact of the matter is that the crowd for that game and the atmosphere for that game was, I guarantee you, much better than it was whenever she visited when she was in high school. Because Illinois women's basketball crowd have come that long in the last 2 years. Yeah. So let's listen in to Aaliyah and Shauna and some of what they had to say when we talked to them today when we recorded this.
Especially just knowing how much trust we have between each other. So, and I love Coach Green with all my heart. I love Coach Mack, and they're just my people. So I definitely had that feeling, and I was excited when they reached out. What I remember most is just the energy. I mean, just being here. My family was here to support, and it felt great. Even though I was on the other side, it was just a good feeling being in that gym and in that arena.
Sometimes I actually think it's good for some people. I don't want to lose them the first time. That's probably, I shouldn't say this then. But sometimes it is when they get another experience and we get them back. I think that they come in with a different approach. They're very grateful. So we've had success with that. We've had success with getting kids the first time and then being really good players. So it all comes down to relationships at the end of the day.
Illinois women's basketball, we'll keep updated. We've probably had some more stuff on air on our newscast by the time this airs. So check the website, see what you can find there. Social media, we're always posting stuff because there was a ton of interesting stuff. I think Barry Wallace's development is very interesting. Obviously, Gretchen's return to the court. Letty Vasconcelos, got it. Her return to the court, I think, is really interesting. They have a little bit more length this year, and
Shauna said
that was on purpose, right? And so I think they're excited for that. You're going to have two young point guards. Aaliyah is a stud, but didn't play like crazy minutes her freshman year at Iowa, and then you have a true freshman coming in Destiny Jackson. We're going to take a break here, unless you had anything else on women's hoops. We're going to take a break. We're going to talk a little golf. Brian Campbell won a tournament recently. You probably heard about it. When we get back, we will touch on that. Stay with us. All right, welcome back to the 3-in-1 podcast, Your Illini Nation, WCIA 3. If you're watching on the WCIA Plus app, thanks for downloading that. That's cool. Fire Stick, Apple TV, Roku. I don't think it's a phone app, so if you looked it up in the App Store and you're like, I didn't see it.
But we are putting these videos on Spotify now. Yes,
so if you're watching or listening on Spotify or on the WCIA Plus app, we appreciate you. For tuning in. We talked men's basketball, women's basketball. This will probably be like the only podcast for the next 6 months that we don't really talk football.
Yeah.
There's plenty that we could talk about with football, but
and then we're gonna lock in.
Yeah. Once we get into August, it will be tons of football talk, and we'll
August
talk with.
is generous. Because we're talking on the 9th. Big Ten Media Days are the 27th.
Mm-hmm. Media Days, and then right after that, they have availabilities and stuff back here in Champaign. But let's talk a little bit about a former Illinois golfer. Brian Campbell gets his second PGA win of the year in the John Deere Classic. WCIA was in the house for that one, by the way. If you missed our coverage, I was there the first 2 days, and then Tristan was there for the final round. And if you missed it, there's plenty of it online all over the place.
Is that your first time going to a PGA Tour event? Not for work.
Surely was, yeah.
They're
I haven't
really
been to many
cool.
golf tournaments.
I went to, there used to be a PGA Tour event in my hometown, and I went reties, and it doesn't get old. It's so cool.
No, it was really neat, and there was a good crowd. Lots of Illinois fans there. If you missed it, Brian won in a playoff on 18. They played 18 again, and man, really happy for him. I mean, that's cool. You take the not even fandom, but typically rooting out of it as a journalist, and I still did. I was still doing my job. Don't get me wrong, but when he wins it, just happy for the guy after talking to him a couple of times and hearing about his journey. It's not like this is his first taste of golf success. I'm not trying to paint him as this like massive underdog who'd never been a good golfer until last Sunday at the John Deere Classic. He was the Big Ten golfer of the year at Illinois, but his pro journey had been just tons of ups and downs.
Exactly. I mean, he wins this 10 years to the day after making his pro debut.
Yeah.
Before this, I'm pretty sure the Mexico Open was his only win.
Yeah, it was his first win, and that was earlier this year.
And that was earlier this season, right? And so I was talking to my dad as a lifelong golfer and golf fan, and obviously because his daughter works for the official station of Illinois, he was following Brian Campbell. But we were talking about, even if you just had this on because you're a golf fan, John Deere Classic is not a major. It's not a huge, widely touted, but golf fans are watching it.
Right.
And if I'm a casual golf fan watching that, I'm following Brian Campbell's career for the next year.
Yeah, right?
That was incredible.
It's cool.
I don't know how you don't root for that
Yeah.
guy. It was insane.
No, very cool.
To flirt with top 2 all week, to have a close as anything final round.
And that
make it
15th
that
hole.
playoff,
That 15th hole, that tee shot. If you're one of our viewers of our newscast, then you know who Brandon Morano is, one of our evening anchors, and I was at his place watching that final round, and that tee shot, he and I were like, what was that? And I'm sure that's what Brian and his caddy's reaction probably was too. But
also, speaking of the broadcast, lots of love for the Illini.
Yeah, they gave him a bunch of shout outs.
I think they were like
the legendary Mike Small.
Mike Small, yeah. Lots of respect for this program, as it should be.
I don't know that Illinois men's golf, nobody will complain about recruiting help. I don't know that Illinois men's golf was struggling in the recruiting department, but that certainly doesn't hurt, right? If you got a golfer watching from anywhere in the country and they hear something about that, and look up Illinois men's golf and like, oh, by the way, he's one of like 7 guys that are playing professionally for Illinois. I may have got that number wrong even, but no, it was cool to talk to Brian and see him get that win. We did when he spoke after he won, he talked about his journey and even a time in his career where he thought, man, maybe I should look into using that degree, or maybe golf isn't for me. I want you to listen to that. You may have seen it on social media. You may have seen it on our broadcast. If you did, I think listen to it again. If you haven't, it's powerful, man. It kind of gives you goosebumps. So listen to Brian Campbell after his second PJ win of his career and of this year.
It means everything. This is what I've worked my entire life to be in this position, and unfortunately we had a couple years there where it wasn't looking so good. You have to start thinking about, am I going to do something else? Maybe pro golf or this route's not going to work out, but it really was all at Second Stage Q School about 2 or 3 years ago. I made like a quintuple bogey on a par 3, and I thought my career was over in that moment. And that night just kind of had a self-talk with myself and said, you know what, whatever happens is okay. Trust yourself. And next round I went out there and shot 8 under and got myself right back in there. And I guess I was like, maybe golf's not over for me. And that moment was when everything changed.
Courtney, Illinois golf has a bunch of guys playing pro, and it's not in too shabby of a place right now. In fact, Brian was in Champaign-Urbana before the John Deere Classic. Maybe he got some good luck. He visited. He said he met Max Herendeen and spent some time around the program before going up to Quad Cities. But, man, you're talking about a team that tied for an NCAA regional title, I should say, and returns everybody but Buchanan and added in a really good transfer.
Yeah, everybody but Buchanan. I mean, we saw guys like Jake Birdwell come out of the woodworks the same way and Trey Marion, the same way we saw Max Herendeen come out of the woodworks his freshman season. So when you're really only looking to fill that one hole of Jackson Buchanan, granted, that is a big hole. Jackson Buchanan is a legendary
Right, he was good. It's not like,
program.
we only lost Buchanan. That's a pretty big loss, but they have a bunch of other really good players.
A bunch of really strong guys. And now you have the hype of Brian Campbell. You have the hype of Atkins. I mean, that weekend at Atkins was, in my opinion, comparable to Michigan weekend for football. That weekend.
Yeah, it was cool.
That weekend is going to be symbolic for that program and how far that program has come for years.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking about it for years, both of those weekends in their respective programs. But I think that combined with their transfers, with the returners, with the fact that you've got legendary coach Mike Small. I can't believe they said that. That was awesome.
That's awesome.
Everything is pointing in the right direction.
Yeah, no, a bunch of stuff. And the transfer they got, I was trying to pull it up, like some of the numbers on this guy, but the transfer they got is coming off like one of, historically speaking, like this is not cliche, scoring wise, one of the best seasons in college golf history.
Right.
I think he had 4 tournament wins. I could be botching the stats. I couldn't pull up the press release while we were talking, but I think he had 4 tournament wins, and they said that nobody's ever had 5, or maybe only a few guys have had 5, and like the 4 guys that have had more tournament wins than him, one of them is Tiger Woods. So not bad company to be in for the transfer that Illinois Golf is adding for next season.
Senior year Ryan Boyce.
Yeah.
Scary.
Yeah, Ryan's good. I love talking to Ryan because he has this like great appreciation for the game of golf.
He's
and like
so smart.
Yeah. If you haven't watched our interviews with the Illinois golfers, give them a look sometime, or next time that you see that we're covering it, tune in for that, or check out our social media next time you see that we're out about covering golf. Because I find it fascinating to talk to these guys because, in my opinion, they're so different than any of these other sports.
And they're also different from each other.
They're a little bit more philosophical, thoughtful. There's this like,
I
don't just want to win. I want to win. Yeah, he might. Ryan might be like too smart to where like it hurts him sometimes when he's golfing.
He had a final in accounting the day after the NCAA's ended, and I bet he got an A on
He
it.
probably did better than either of us would have, even if we hadn't just played
you
in
did.
golf. Yeah. All right. Let's take one more break. We'll come back and wrap it up, and then we'll see you again next week. At least one of us will.
One of us will.
Somebody will be on here next week. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back. We'll wrap up the show here. Courtney, when we're recording this, we just recently got the official announcement of Illinois, Tennessee playing in Nashville this December. We already knew that. Most of you listening probably already knew that. Rothstein reported it, and it was out there from pretty good sources. But now it's official from Illinois Athletics. They'll play in December this year in Nashville. The return game will not be next season, but the following season, 2027-28. That's not a real year. But they're going to play then in Chicago. I think we're assuming in the United Center.
Is the basketball game at Bridgestone?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Listen, as someone who's spent a lot of time in Nashville and as someone who has seen a program I follow basically turn that city into their own, Illini fans, you need to go to this game. You need to book a ticket now. You need to buy a ticket now. And you need to plan to be in Bridgestone on December 6th.
I think it'll be a fun trip.
There is nothing like making a weekend out of one of these games. And it is a Saturday. Go. Illini fans, go to this game because they're going to paint it their awful shade of orange. And we all saw what happened back when the Illinois team played Tennessee this past season. I'm still
I know, that was...
Illini fans, you have to go to this game.
I think it'll be a fun weekend, and your Kentucky Wildcats are playing Gonzaga the night before, so that's what I will be doing. Even if you're not a diehard Illinois fan, which in that case, I don't know why you're listening to the Your Illini Nation podcast, but thank you, yeah. But even if you're not, or you've got a buddy that you're trying to get to go with, and he's like, I don't really care about Illinois basketball that much, you get to see Kentucky Gonzaga one night, Illinois Tennessee the next day, and oh, by the way, you're in Nashville, see some live music while you're at it. That sounds like a pretty good weekend to me.
Right there. You can leave the game and go on Broadway.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like a half bad deal.
I'm pretty sure that the women had a pretty successful. They weren't at Bridgestone, but from what I've heard, the women played in Nashville last year and had a lot of fun. The fans who went had a lot of fun. So. Yeah,
that could be an exciting game. Illinois' non-conference schedule, as is usual by now, but it's not exactly a cakewalk.
Yep, and a little birdie told me that the women's is not going to be either.
Yeah.
Yay.
Well, that'll be exciting to kind of see. I don't know if this is the year you want the hardest non-conference schedule for them, but I guess, hey, you're going to find out a lot about them pretty quickly, or, sometimes when that happens, then when they get into conference play, they're battle-tested. That's a cliche. But
Two SEC opponents again this year.
For the women's team, that is?
For the men's team.
Okay, yeah. Alabama, Tennessee.
And obviously bragging rights, but.
Right. Yeah.
And then you get the beginning of the Terrence Shannon Bowl with Texas Tech here.
Yeah.
Those are the only games we know
I
right
like
now.
more home and homes, folks.
Please.
I love the home and homes because as much I like when they come here, but I also like going to these other college towns. I think that's fun.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I'm not complaining about going to Nashville or places like that, but I love college towns. I love home and homes. So, all right, thanks for listening or watching the Your Line Nation WCIA 3-in-1 podcast with Courtney. I'm Glenn. We'll see you next time.